Hello and good morning to everyone on this very beautiful morning in May. Just for reference, today is the 15th of May and my garden is in Northern California, Zone 9B. I wanted to start off this garden tour today by showing you the container garden area because this is where I have my Delphinium growing. These are Delphinium that I planted from seed and they're from the Pacific Giant series. This is the very first time I've ever planted Delphinium, and I actually planted these as cool flowers way back in November. So I'm very happy that I was able to get a few plants. I have white, like a dark blue color, and the one that I think I love the most, which I have the least of, is the light blue color. My mom recently told me that when she was a little girl growing up, my grandpa had planted Delphinium in his garden back in southern Russia. So when I heard that, I knew that I wanted to plant Delphinium in my backyard, just kind of to like connect to a generation past. I also have lilies that are just about to burst open and bloom. Very excited for that. These are lilies that I planted a couple of years ago, so they are now on their second year. And it's actually really interesting because there are some lilies here. You can notice they're just on one stem, or like there's just going to be one flower on one stem versus there's going to be a ton of flowers on this stem. And I have a few different varieties here. I have like the Oriental series and the Asiatic series, expecting the Asiatic to grow first. This is a little tomato plant that I purchased from Costco. It is the Sun Sugar variety. So that's going to be our first tomato. This here is a fig tree that I purchased. Let's see. Improved brown turkey fig. So I don't know that we're gonna have any figs this year because I don't see any on the plant, but hopefully in the next couple of years. Then we have another Sun Sugar tomato plant, my very cute pansies, and a couple of my grandma's tomatoes. My grandma started these from seed. And then here in this container we have some dahlia tubers and some cilantro. It's just before sunrise, just before 6 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to get up early this morning so I could do this garden tour. And look at those pansies. So beautiful. All right, and then another thing that I really wanted to add to my garden was a nectarine tree, and I really didn't have any room to plant it in the ground, so I decided to go with like a dwarf series, and I went with Necta Z. The reason I went with this one was because they said it has like a very sweet and tangy flavor. You can see that there are a couple growing on the tree. So hopefully within the next few years we'll have some very delicious nectarines. Oh, and I almost forgot, this is a dahlia. We actually planted this container together in one of my YouTube videos. I forget what the video is, but I'll put it up on the screen. I forget the name of this dahlia, but I'll also put up the name on the screen. It's kind of like this dark red burgundy color. There's also some gladioli in this container. Not all of them came back. I think there's only three or four that came back. All right, and maybe I'll show you some more of what's in my green stock garden. My sister got me this for my birthday a few years ago. The really interesting thing is I have no idea if this plant here in the front is a weed or not. I guess we're about to find out because it's about to bloom. But if it is a weed, which it might be, we'll just pull it out. Then we have some more Delphinium. I have a little bit of lupin. There's 1, 2 lupin plants. There's some cilantro in here. This is some self-sown cilantro. And that is a little gomphrena plant. Another thing that I have in here, which I'm very excited about, is the tuber rose. So in these 2 bottom containers, there's a ton of tuber rose, and these are the most amazing smelling flowers. If you can see, one of them's getting ready to bloom. All right, here is the calla lilies that we planted together in my calla lily video. If you remember, in that video we planted, I think, at least like 8 calla lilies in here, but only 3 of them are rising. So I'm really curious to see what color it is. I have a feeling that they're all going to be the same color, and for some reason I have a feeling they're going to be pink. But then we have the debutante camellia, which I just bought last fall. We have a hydrangea that used to grow right next to my lilac plant, but it wasn't doing well, so I put a peony in its place, dug it out, and brought it back here for more shade. A dahlia plant, and another dahlia plant in that container. This is actually super interesting. This hydrangea, you can see it has 1, 2, 3 blooms. This is actually a hydrangea that I propagated about 2 years ago, and I propagated this one off of this plant here. So this is the mother plant, this is the baby plant. I'm so happy to see that this one has blooms. I'm probably gonna need to repot this one here soon. Oh, and oh my gosh, this is such a funny story. So this here is a Cora Luis Ito peony, and the reason that I planted this one was because the one that we actually planted together a few videos ago turned out to be a yellow peony. This has been a common theme in my life this year, so I bought a Cora Luis peony. It turned out to be the Bartzella peony. I bought an amaryllis that I thought was going to be apple blossom, but it actually turned out to be red lion. And then there was an iris that I thought was going to be called Chasing Rainbows, which I was super excited for. I loved like the orange and the purple tones, but it turned out to be like a brown tone. Yeah, that's Cora Luis, and if you can see, it's not like the most healthy looking plant. I do think we're probably going to lose these eyes because they're already kind of rotting, but hopefully that one makes it, and within a few years we'll have some flowers. These are some marigolds that I planted from seed. This here is another hydrangea that I propagated. As you can see right next to it, you just see the little stem. There were 2 hydrangeas, but only this one made it, and this one is becoming such a fast growing plant. This one I just potted in here, I think in the fall, and it's already significantly taller than that one, so they're different varieties. And this one is a propagation off of my grandma's hydrangea. Okay, here I have planted some common milkweed from seed. They don't seem to be doing very well. They're not very fast growers. Let me know if you've ever planted common milkweed from seed and what was your experience like. Then I also have some amaranth planted, and there used to be like 4 plants in here, but a couple of them didn't make it. Next we have this very beautiful hydrangea, and it's gonna be a pink tone. All of my hydrangeas always end up this color, no matter what color I purchase them in. I'll show you a little bit later in the video. One that used to be blue has now turned pink. Here is this container with pansies, a marigold, a couple of zinnias. I always say this, but I love pansies. They're the most underrated flower. And this here is a geranium that I actually propagated. It used to be like this teeny tiny plant, and now it's basically taken over this entire container. And behind the geranium I have a bougainvillea planted. It's the purple bougainvillea, and it seems to be doing a lot better this year. So it's a happy bougainvillea. One thing I do want to say is that bougainvilleas, they struggle a little bit in zone 9 because they are tropical plants, and we do definitely have frost here. So I have lost a couple of bougainvilleas throughout the years, but I actually don't do anything to protect them from the frost. So yeah, if you're in a zone 9, I'm in a zone 9B. If you want to plant a bougainvillea, I will say you don't necessarily have to protect it from the frost. And I just love this color geranium. I think this is my favorite color that I have. We'll move on to the clematis in just a second, but I actually first wanted to show you what's going on here. So here I have planted some foxglove from seed and a few different iris plants. We did get just one blooming iris this year. Something I wasn't really anticipating was that the mandarin tree is really growing over the foxglove, so I don't really know how much room they're gonna have to flower, but we'll see what happens, because earlier in the fall the mandarin tree was definitely not like drooping over that area. Alright, next we have the clematis or the clematis plant. I'm not really sure exactly how to pronounce it, but it's a really beautiful light pink colored clematis that I planted years and years ago. Clematis love to have their roots in the shade and the top part in the sun, so I think this clematis has become pretty happy. I don't think it used to be too happy because, as you can see, there's not that much sun down here, especially being covered by the mandarin tree, but I think that they were all able to work it out. I really love how the clematis looks here next to the mandarin tree. And something that I really like about the mandarin tree is that it produces like this yellow-green color that I don't really have elsewhere in my garden. And I love how like the dark green foliage of the rose looks with the lime green color of the mandarin tree. So if you're wanting some lime green in your garden, definitely plant a citrus tree. The rose is kind of on its way out now, but it was very beautiful. I filmed my peony video right in front of this rose. This is the amaryllis that I was talking about earlier, that I was expecting it to be apple blossom, but it turned out to be, I think this is a red lion, maybe an anseton. It's a very strong and healthy looking plant, and it's been flowering for such a long time. I've never had an amaryllis flower this long, so I'm actually kind of happy with it and thinking that I'm gonna keep it here. Earlier I thought I would switch it out and put an apple blossom amaryllis in its place, but I'm actually very happy with how long it's blooming, so maybe I'll keep it here. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that earlier the amaryllis, this stem, I did plant it very late, so the stem was kind of like going sideways, but as you can see now, it did a great job of correcting itself. And when I grew amaryllis indoors, it never did that. So outdoors they have a great way of being able to correct themselves and how they grow. Alright, so next up we have some of the roses, and this pink rose is actually one of my favorites. I don't really know the variety that it is, but I just call it my pink rose. Very pretty. In there we have the Sarah Bernhardt peony. It's on its second year, so I didn't get any blooms from it. Then we have some amaryllis that's on its way out now. And here the red rose used to be super beautiful. It's actually working on producing a second flush of flowers. Here I have the Myrtle Gentry peony. Something I want to show you here on this peony is this had a couple of side shoot peonies that actually never opened up. If you have any advice, let me know in the comment section down below what you do to get like these little side shoots to open. I'm not really sure. Maybe they didn't have enough water? The pink rose has gotten extremely tall this year. I think this is the tallest it's been in a long time. And then here you can see my Carl Rosenfield peony is on its way out now. I think that the sun is about to rise, so we're gonna get a change in the way that the lighting looks. But here in this area, something that I really love are the vines that I've planted here. I had like a tangerine cross vine here, a purple trumpet vine here, and I believe this one's called the bower vine. I'll put the name up on the screen. But something I love is that the orange cross vine bloomed first about a month and a half ago, then the trumpet vine, and now the bower vine. So we kind of take turns getting different blooms. I was very happy to see a bird in this bird bath the other day. It was a blue jay. The blue jay is the only bird I've seen here. This is an echinacea plant I planted not too long ago. It's the Cheyenne Spirit echinacea, and it's supposed to have different colored blooms on it, but I only see red. Let me know if you have a Cheyenne Spirit echinacea and if you actually get different colored blooms on it, because that's the way it was advertised. It's supposed to be like red, orange, and yellow flowers all growing on one plant. This is a hydrangea that actually was blue last year and the year prior, but now, as you can see, it's turned pink. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, all of my hydrangeas turn pink. So I believe that means we have like what, slightly acidic soil. The really funny thing is that I actually bought this hydrangea because I love the blue color. But I mean, of course, I still love the pink, but I bought it specifically for its blue color, so it's kind of funny that it just turned color. And we have the apricot colored rose. You can see the sun is now starting to rise. So here in this hanging basket I have succulents. I love that this front one flowered for us this year. I wasn't really expecting that. And the cute little hummingbird from my sister and my niece. My niece picked that one out. Alright, so here we have a dahlia plant and some pansies growing in this container. I don't know that this dahlia has ever bloomed. I did plant it about 2 years ago, but it looks like it's gonna bloom this year. There's a little bloom on this plant. Next we have the Garden of Eden rose. I don't think that it's ever bloomed this profusely in the past. And here is a marigold plant. I think I got these marigold seeds from Dollar Tree years and years and years ago. And at one point I did plant marigolds in here, but now they just plant themselves every single year. So I love plants that re-sow themselves, and I don't really have to put much work in it because there's a lot of other work in the garden. The geraniums are kind of on their way out, so I'm definitely gonna come back and deadhead these. This is a larkspur seed. I just threw some larkspur seeds in here with my blue girl rose, and they did a great job. I absolutely love the pink larkspur. I feel like I don't get that much of it. Most of my larkspur is purple. Then we have a hibiscus. I actually had a hibiscus flower a few days ago. In here we have Scilla peruviana and Rudbeckia. I wouldn't necessarily recommend planting these together because I don't think that the Rudbeckia has all that much room. And here in this area we have a star, and that star is the bougainvillea. I've heard that some other people in Zone 9, they protect their bougainvillea from the frost, but I never cover these two. I have one growing like in this type of a container, and then I have my lavender plant, and then I have one in another container. So these are kind of just like on their own here, and they do amazing. These are west facing. The other purple bougainvillea was on a south facing wall. So now we're in the cut flower portion of the garden, and these are all flowers that I planted from seed. There's a lot of interesting things going on in here. Like you can see the larkspur is blooming. And the Ami is just towering over. I thought that the larkspur would be the tallest plant in here, but clearly the Ami has won. I did try to direct sow larkspur in here, and it is recommended to direct sow larkspur because they don't really like to have their roots disturbed, but that didn't exactly work out for me, and I ended up starting these seeds indoors, and then I just transplanted them out here. Okay, so then next to that, like I mentioned earlier, is the Ami plant, and it has grown to be so big. You can see we're about to have some flowers. And something that's super interesting about the Ami plant is that there's often flies sitting in the leaves, and I think that they like sleep on this plant. If you've ever grown Ami and you've noticed the same thing, please let me know in the comments section below. Do these attract flies into the foliage? And this here is my first ever straw flower. It hasn't exactly opened up fully. You can see it is mostly in bud stage, but I was so surprised when I saw this. I thought that straw flowers are going to need a long time to bloom. I planted these out here, I want to say in like January, February, and I thought they wouldn't bloom until like fall, but I mean, here we are in May, and we have an almost blooming straw flower. And then here next to that we have the foxglove, and these are getting ready to send out some shoots. So looking forward to that. And I am so late planting these. As you can see, I winter sowed some foxglove, and I'm really bad because I never got a chance to plant them in the ground. Maybe what I should do is just plant this right there, because obviously there's room there right next to the delphinium and random larkspur plant. Alright, so right next to there we have some self-sown Dara. I predict that this one's going to be the light purple color Dara. And these self-sowed. Love it when flowers resow themselves. Next we have some Sweet William. There's pink, red, and white, or very, very light pink color tones. I don't know if this translates onto the camera, but these are actually like a very light pink color. I just noticed this, but looks like the feverfew is getting ready to bloom. So that's very exciting. This is a flower that I planted 2 years ago, so I believe feverfew is perennial. So if you plant it, it's gonna spread. Mine's definitely spreading, and this is actually really exciting because this is the first time I'm actually seeing buds. Last year it produced just one flower, so it didn't really do much for us last year. Next we have some more self-sown Dara. And then here in this area we have kind of like a very crowded planting of marigold. There's, I believe, 6 marigold plants. There's one right there also. My yarrow, I planted this from seed a couple of years ago, and this year it finally bloomed. It turned out to be, I actually thought it was a light yellow color, but now looking at it, I actually feel like this looks white. If you look, these look yellowish, but this looks white. And I believe that there are 2 different plants here, but I believe that they're both the same color, which I think is actually a good thing. I was hoping that these would be like a punchy pink or orange color, because I planted these from like a mix packet, but they're actually, yeah, they're like I guess like a very soft pale yellow, I would call them. Here are some cosmos plants that actually self-seeded. This one's getting ready to flower. Next to that, I do have Rudbeckia that's also getting ready to flower. I think there's like 4 Rudbeckia plants that I sowed here. And again, most of this bed was sowed 2 years ago, with the exception of the yarrow I just planted a few months ago, the marigolds I just planted a few months ago, but all this I planted 2 years ago. The Dara self-sowed last year. Something that I do is, because it's so crowded in this area, I cut back all the leaves on this Dara on this side, just because if I didn't, I think they would crush that cute little marigold plant. Oh, and something I noticed yesterday is that the marigold plant is also getting ready to bloom. So we're looking forward to that. And next I'll show you the bed that's right behind me. The really interesting thing is I actually sowed like a lot of this first. These I sowed out in December, but this bed is like at a much later stage, or it's not really as mature as some of the plants behind it, and I have no idea why. The only thing that I could think is maybe these didn't get enough water, or maybe they get too much sun. I don't know. Is it possible for a plant to get too much sun? But here we have straw flower and a couple of scabiosa plants. I'm actually really pleasantly surprised with the scabiosa because they did not look good, and if you can see, they were very, very leggy seedlings. You see that entire thing? That's the leg. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Even if you have leggy seedlings, still plant them. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're bad seedlings. See how it kind of like lays down and then it grows up from there? So I mean, leggy seedlings, while they're not ideal, they're not also all that bad. Then I have a couple of zinnia plants. I believe that's a sunflower. We have love in a mist and snapdragon. And the last bed, which is also a no dig, these are tomato plants that I planted from seed, and they're gonna be like the baby tomatoes. You can see one of them is flowering, which I'm very excited about. Here I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's actually 2 right there, which isn't exactly recommended. 8 tomato plants, and they're actually all planted very closely together. Then we also have some cosmos. What I did is I came through and I pinched some of the cosmos because I didn't necessarily want them to flower quite yet, but I was actually surprised that a lot of them are flowering and they're still so young. Like this is I don't know, maybe like 12 feet tall 12 inches tall, and it's already putting on a bloom. So I was kind of shocked to see that, and I don't know how, but it looks like there's a sunflower growing here. And this is a winter sown foxglove. I sowed this in a milk carton, and it looks like it's going to be the first to bloom. It's not very tall. I was hoping that it would be a little bit taller. Oh, and this one's actually putting on a bloom stalk. And these are Delphinium. Some of these I started inside. They're not looking too good, but they do have some new growth on them. So we'll see what happens. And a random Larkspur plant. I'm not sure how this happened, but I think that a Larkspur seed got into the Delphinium winter sown milk cartons. So, well, thank you guys for watching this garden tour. If you liked it, please give it a like. Let me know if you're planting any of these things in your garden, and I hope to see you in my next video.